Hey, what's up everybody? Aggro here. Finally time for another Teamfight breakdown by me this time. I don't know who else would be doing them on my channel, but certainly no one else besides me, of course. This one is going to be Space Station up against Splyce, and this was a set that was very important for the Battle of NA. Everyone's trying to catch up to United right now, and both of these teams are probably the next in line. Now, Splyce ends up winning this set, but I thought that this Teamfight in particular was really, really critical. Well, it's two. It's back-to-back late-game Fire Giant team fights. Everyone's level 20. Everyone's fully stacked. We don't get a chance to see ones that go this long. My first play, timed out at normal speed, is 90 seconds, which is an eternity in actual team fight time. Splyce ended up winning this game, but we'll go into that a little bit later. Let's get right into it. So if we just take full screen right here, I want to set the scene. It's 29 minutes in. Like I said, basically everyone's level 20. Jeff's level 19. Aurora's level 18. Who cares? They're supports. Almost everybody full build. Titan's Bane's not quite finished yet for Anister. That's a big deal. But outside of that, you're basically fully slotted on a lot of these characters. A couple blessings remaining over here for Splyce. But again, not that big of a deal. So go ahead and play it in slow motion. We're going to start off this team fight. And right away, you're noticing that Jeff Hinla at the forefront, of course, which is exactly what you want. Pause it right here. This taunt onto Divios is exactly what Divios wants for multiple different reasons. Number one, Divios has Spirit Robe, so he's trying to get taunted because he gets the damage mitigation, and there is zero chance that they ever end up killing him in this spot. But go ahead and take a look at where everybody is right now. Barracuda, nowhere close. Ven, all the way over here on the right-hand side of this team fight. He's basically in lane right now. There is no way that these three players from Space Station are ever killing Divios. And the taunt from Space Station is they're really only engage. Anister's playing Naja, but he doesn't have Blink. Aqua's playing Osiris, but it's late game, so he can't really get in the middle of these team fights and really make it happen that well. So I feel like that's a little bit too much to ask. This is going to be a team fight that's really centered around where Jeff Hinla gets his initiation. I mean, think out how many Magis are on Splyce right here. Two right there for the two mid-jungle members of Splyce. So go ahead and roll it here. Divios, as I said, gets taunted. All of Splyce super far away. No way that they follow up. That's the go sign for Divios. This means that he's allowed to go in because he knows the best CC potential from Space Station is now on cooldown. Aquarius gets poked by Moswall. That's what Moswall is designed to do, is just poke people in this little jungle corridor. Now Ven, pause it right here. Ven comes looping around. He was not spotted on this ward because he was in stealth. But all he finds is a Roar, who has a Magi's bubble, which Ven just popped. But Venenu being here, again, look at everyone else on Space Station. They are not in auto attack range to where Venenu is. None of them can help Ven all the way down there. So Splyce obviously is going to engage off of this. So go ahead and roll it. And Space Station has to get on their horse to try and help Venenu out. Aurora's going to do a good job of chasing him out, gets the purification beads, and then Divios does a great job of blinking it afterwards. That was a 6 sprint by Jeff Hinla to get Venenu out of range of that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Once Ven's cooldowns are back up, there's a much better fight for Space Station. Sino blinks in, is able to put some pressure on a Barracuda. Moswall's ultimate doesn't get a whole lot of value, but it's separating the team fight, which is by design. And pause it right here, because this is where it starts getting dicey for Space Station. If you take a look at your mini-map right now, Space Station is clearly cut in two halves, right here, basically, if you want to take a look not on the mini-map. These are the two halves of the team fight. You've got Aqua and Anister on the left side, and the rest of the team, basically the Squishies and Jeff Hinla, on the right. Now, a lot of times this can be a good position for Space Station to be in because you're letting your frontline Osiris take a lot of these cooldowns, and then your damage dealers, namely Ven and Barracuda, get to sweep in from one side, Anister from the other, and if Splyce are impatient and push into that corridor, it's a great spot for them to get trapped. But as we go back in, Splyce does a better job of not getting drawn in too much. So go ahead and roll it here because Splyce isn't going to heavy commit onto Aquarius. Pause right here. Pause, you can go ahead and pause it. So they're pretty deep. They basically cross this line. That's the line that you're really looking for because it opens you up to this area over here, and that's where Barracuda comes in. But Barra had to dash to get in range for this Petrify, and no one had gotten Cyclone's relics. He's your most vulnerable alongside Moswall. Neither of their relics were down. Plus, Venenu, if Ven wraps around this blue buff rock and comes in the same route as Barracuda, maybe they can insta-kill Mazwal. Maybe he comes down a little bit more, heads that way, insta-kill Cyclone Spin once Cyclone's relics are down. And I think that's his best route. If you follow me on the minimap here, if he kind of snakes in underneath and is able to come around this rock, he might have a chance. But Ven goes the safe way, feeling like this fight is lost because Aquarius, their frontliner, is getting away at very low HP. He's likely to die, and so Space Station is trying to disengage. Jeff and Barra on a different page, so go ahead and play it here. Barra committing a dash again at this point. He's dead meat every time. Venenu's transformation into Opwash to lay down an ultimate, a little bit late, but was the right idea in that spot. Splyce disengage from this point. But Ven, Jeff, and Annister are pushing forward because Aquarius is teleporting in on the backside, full HP, and that's going to really help him out quite a bit. Obviously, your late game Osiris isn't great in the fully healthy 5-on-5s, but once you get to this point, it's pretty easy for him to clean up, and that's exactly what he does. So as we let this team fight play out, keep these in mind for the next one, okay? The taunt on the Divios is huge. The target selection from Venenu to start off that fight by going on a roar isn't exactly what Space Station needs, and Space Station stays so spread out that there's no way that they could help, that anyone could help each other. And it's not that your damage dealers can't get too far away, because sometimes, like in the next play, it's the best thing you can do is to spread away from your team and draw members of the enemy towards you in order to try and finish them off, but allow your team fight to do really well where the bulk of your team is. That's what Barra's going to do in this next team fight. But I do want to point one thing out. If we can go back in real quick, take a look at the player damage now for Aquarius. He was at 17,000 going into that last fight beforehand. My man's farmed 5K damage in that last team fight. Yeah, there's the proof. 17K at the beginning of the team fight, and now skip ahead to the beginning of this next clip. It's going to be a lot. He does a ton of damage throughout. There we go, 22 to start this one off, and there was no fighting in between. It was just resetting at this point. Speaking of resetting, there are some really critical cooldowns gone right now from both sides. Beads by Sino still on cooldown. Both relics from Cyclone Spin are down. We got both relics for Venenu. We got an Aegis down from Annister. And if I'm being real with you, Chief, can't see Barracudas, but I'm pretty sure his beads are down because my UI is in the way. But this is just a few minutes later, 3 minutes later, these teams reset, get their ultimates up, get their buffs, and are now ready to go fighting yet again. So go ahead and roll it from here. This time, Splyce want to be, again, not the initiator, but they want to be in better position to counter-initiate. Basically what they're trying to do is not let Space Station set up this team fight. You can't let Ven come around the back like he did in the last fight because Cyclone's relics are down, and Ven will one-shot him now with this build. So Splyce is going to be the one to start off this Fire Giant. Divios blinks in onto Barracuda, and Sino's right after him. Again, Barracuda very vulnerable in this spot. So go ahead and pause it right here. So like I said, a lot of times you don't want your damage dealers splitting away from everybody else. But Barra is so isolated at this point, and he's got two people staring at him. Cyclone Spin is in position to kill Barracuda, but is kind of caught in no man's land now because he realizes that he's in a bad spot in this team fight. And look at the focus onto Mazwal. This is a dedicated effort by Space Station to really worry about Mazwal doing these team fights because he is going to be the best jungle fighter that Splyce have. So Mazwal does all he can in order to survive at this point, but Aquarius is on top of him. This is great pathing by Venenu to come up and look for him in this position instead of trying to loop around the back and hit a roar. This is good team fight target focus here from Space Station. So let's head back in and see exactly what happens. Mazwal gets sat on completely. Continue to watch Aquarius as damage go up. Aqua played so well in these late game team fights and was a huge reason why Space Station was able to win them. Let's actually roll that back a little bit. I was kind of distracted by Aquarius, as was the rest of Splyce, because, pause it right here. As I mentioned before, Cyclone was hanging out right here, kind of in no man's land. But Venenu, instead of, we saw him over here, instead of pathing in to handle Mazwal, he has great game sense to know that Aquarius and Jeff Hinla are going to be able to handle that. Normally when a 30-plus minute fight and your ADC is the first one to die, you're going to lose that fight. But the target focus from Space Station is so solid. They work in units. These two tanks killing Mazwal. These two damage dealers kill Cyclone Spin. So even though Barracuda is the first one out, it's quickly a 2-for-1 in Space Station's favor. You can go ahead and play it because Ven sets up Annister perfectly for an ultimate. Stun, right into the Windfire wheels, basically frame perfect. That'll let Andy finish off Cyclone. Ven is able to transform and get some damage off on a Cyno. Aurora up-downs in that spot right there when he probably needed to try and run, but I don't think he's getting out of that anyways. Ven gets a good angle in order to cut that off, and Cyno just kind of wastes some time. So the main differences in those two team fights are, number one, Jeff Hindler in the first fight gets a taunt onto the tankiest target that wants to get taunted with no one around that can actually deal damage to him. And that starts the fight off poorly for Space Station. And Venenu's pathing as well in multiple different moments. The path to hit Aurora, instead of just walking around that corner and seeing that Aurora's the only one there and just holding the stun and backing up, it was without a doubt a better play in my mind. Maybe Aurora sees you and jumps after you, but you're at least making him commit the jump in order to chase you then, and you can have some teammates loop around the back of that Fire Giant and help you in that spot. Then Ven not coming in with Barracuda, though Barra dashing into a blue buff in order to find a Petrify, not usually the best. But Space Station really remedied those the second time around. Their target focus was phenomenal. They end up losing this game off of a fight by red buff for Splyce that we didn't get a chance to capture for this quite yet because I knew this was going to be a little bit of a long one, but we can certainly go over in the future. I know I say it all the time. Going to try to do these more often, but we'll see what happens. If you have a particular fight from a particular game you'd like to see, make sure you leave it in the comments. Follow me on Twitter, shoot me a message there, all that kind of stuff. Twitter, Twitch, all that good stuff will be down in the description below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.